where do we go when there's conflicts in the sheriff's department and the DA's office?
To be honest with you, all that's already probably being handled within the judicial system and whatever's going on.
No way. You have to have a prosecuting law enforcement agency.
And
The courts sit there and the judges don't do anything until you bring it to them. So what do I do when I have a DA who's gunning for me for a local rule violation, despite all the stuff that has just happened that I've uncovered? What do we do?
you know, and I think you just keep documenting and keep sending it, and then we'll just keep sending up the chain. So my basically job is watch commander, so I'm watching over patrol division.
Okay.
So we have detectives that specialize in investigating crimes, making sure crimes fit the elements.
If you've ever tried to report a complaint to the police, the district attorney, or even the courts, you may feel like you're not being heard. There used to be a time where white-collar crime and public corruption was investigated by the local police. Detectives did their job, and we would see their work splashed across headlines, and we would see public officials prosecuted and removed from public office. But nowadays, it seems police are mostly interested in investigating retail theft and recording in public. This is an email that was obtained by one of our subscribers, and it describes the mayor of Los Gatos asking about an email they got that included links to my social media. The detective did their great investigation from the town of Los Gatos. They investigated my video to see if it was a threat. They investigated what we were doing, recording in public, and they even typed out the entire description of the video in that email before eventually concluding that it wasn't a threat. When we have public officials calling about what reporters, journalists, and even cop watchers are doing in a community, it means that they need to be watched more than anyone.
And where they go, and then how they farm them out.
So,
and who
I
they
mean,
do
shouldn't
so.
this be going to the AG?
So our detectives have a lot more resources.
If Santa Clara County Sheriff's detectives have a lot more resources than the state's Attorney General, it begs the question, why are more crimes not being investigated and prosecuted? And why are we not looking at public officials and issues related to local elections when we know that already is a problem? And here in Santa Clara County, nobody seems interested in investigating it. This is Attorney James McManus. He is responsible for us being able to get emails through public records requests. He also represented Judge Persky during an election where there have been some emails uncovered that show that election was questionable at best.
Hi, good to see you.
What's the deal here? How come we can't get into it? It's this flaw in the Bar Association's decision to have events at the Bar Association have those. Well, do we have to do something here?
No, I don't have the number. I just need my backpack in there. I was waiting for my Uber and I couldn't get it because my backpack's in there.
Tyler, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I should have introduced you.
No, that's okay.
Well, what are we doing here?
It's probably going up and down
I
the
thought you were the
elevator.
managing person in charge. I hope I put my best person on it.
These are some of the most prominent attorneys in Santa Clara County. They make a great deal of money, and they handle everything from civil cases to criminal cases and divorces. They also are attending a local bar meeting with all the local judges. These meetings allow personal, professional, and social relationships between the lawyers and judges to form, and that creates a bias and an unfairness that we can feel in court, but that we can never really put our finger on.
Mr. McManus, I'm Susan Bassi,
Oh, nice to
and
meet
you
All right.
represented Judge Persky during the recall.
You don't need to rub it in, Susan.
Did you know that I got over 6,000 emails because of the law that you got for us under Ted Smith? And the email showed that Jeff Rosen and Michelle Dauber basically had over 6,000 communications during the recall, and he used her as a conduit to get attention.
I have heard that.
Would you like me to send you the emails?
No,
You're not interested in if your client was defrauded during that election?
it's not a question of my interest. It's a question of the client's interest. He just wants to be left alone.
It's kind of a big deal if the local district attorney rigged an election to get
I
your
think
client
that's
recalled.
whatever you want to do to expose that. God bless you. But Persky is very. He just is withdrawn from the world. Basically,
he doesn't want anything to do with any of this stuff, you know?
You don't think that's shameful what they did
I
to
didn't
him?
say that. I said I don't want to embarrass him by bringing this all up again.
Well, wasn't it embarrassing enough to get recalled?
I don't even want to talk about it, no offense.
Well, I have the 6,000 emails.
Good for you.
I have a stipulation from the AG
You
that
can do
shows
anything
what
you
they
want
did.
with those. You don't need to have me involved.
James McManus is one of the most highly paid attorneys in Santa Clara County. He represents people in divorce cases, high asset divorce cases, and he is linked to the nonprofit Women SV that we've written about. He also attended the secret Bar Bench Media Police Committee. He was a regular member, as were other attorneys from his firm, and that allowed him to have access to local reporters from the San Jose Mercury who could report the headlines that he needed to win cases or lose them. He was well aware that his client was cheated during that election, and yet he still made over $450,000 and did significant fundraising for his own fees to be paid to represent Judge Persky, who ended up losing the election when somebody had their finger on the scale.
Hi. I was talking to Mr. McManus.
Oh, okay.
It's a matter of public interest. Our local DA rigged our local election.
Oh, okay.
That's Mr. McLeod. He's being honored tonight, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Win or lose, attorneys are always going to get paid. They get paid by their clients, they get paid by the government, and they also get paid by a judge's orders. So when they attend these events and give each other awards and form social, personal, and professional relationships, that just makes sure that they're going to get paid. They also insulate themselves from being prosecuted for white-collar crimes. So when they steal from clients, often hundreds of thousands of dollars, there's rarely a consequence. And if you've ever tried to report an attorney to the state bar, you know it probably goes just about as well as trying to file a police report in Santa Clara County.